Hello, hello. Welcome to my human design channel. My name is Juji. This is HD by Z. If you're new here, this is a space where I talk about human design, mostly analyzing celebrity charts and their relationships. I also talk about the system itself, and sometimes I make videos where I interview people I've worked with in the past. This is a very special day because I just watched the new Pamela Anderson documentary on Netflix. So I'm going to analyze her and Tommy Lee's relationship. This has actually been top of mind for quite some time now because I also watched Pam and Tommy on Hulu, which is a dramatization of what happened when their sex tape was stolen from their home and distributed all over the world. And it was actually pretty heartbreaking to watch because I didn't know the details of what had gone on with them. But this added layer of having Pamela talk about their relationship really made me want to understand what went on behind the curtain. So we're going to talk about that, mostly about Pam, because she's the center point of this documentary. But before we get into all of that, I just want to remind you that all of my information will be in a master link in the show notes. There you can have access to my website where you'll see I do readings, I do relationship coaching. You can also get your free chart there, and you can get a human design report for only $35, which is a 5-page PDF where you can learn about the basics of your chart. I also run a community called the Be Hive where I do group coaching once a week for the ladies. I have guest speakers come and talk to you about human design. We have a group chat where we support one another, and it's also a self-paced learning platform where you get access to all of my previous workshops so that you can understand this system and follow along with your own chart. The link for that will be in the show notes as well. All right, so Pam and Tommy. I'm going to get right into it by showing you their charts and their connection, and we'll take it from there. All right, so this is Pamela Anderson. She is a generator. She is sacral authority, split definition, 6-2 profile on the left angle cross of demands. So this chart is interesting to me because Pam talks a lot about how she didn't relate to this label of sex symbol that she was given. And she saw herself as the small town girl who just wanted to fall in love and have a family. And I can completely see why. She has this channel of caring. This 5027 is all about custodianship. It's all about being a caretaker, taking care of others, her partners, her children, her family, and also taking care of herself, which is something that she might have missed out on a little bit along the way. So let's take a look at Tommy. So this is Tommy's chart. Now, I didn't find accurate birth time for him, but the conclusion is that he is a manifester. He is emotional authority, triple split definition, 1-3 profile on the right angle cross of tension. Now, Tommy is known for being pretty volatile. There is a lot of anger that she describes coming from him, which is the not self theme of a manifester. And so I can totally see why these two would eventually clash. But let's take a look at their charts together. All right, so this is Pam and Tommy together. They remain triple split, even though in their composite chart, they are 9 and 0, nowhere to go, which again is a very insulated relationship. And they have 2 electromagnetic channels, which is the spark in the relationship, but they also have a companionship channel, which we have seen over and over and over again, seems to be this love at first sight kind of recognition in the other person. And I mean, they got married within 4 days of meeting each other. It's just so interesting to see this pattern emerge with this companionship channel being such a big part of it, and how she said that they just never ran out of stuff to talk about. See, this is an intellectual relationship. So what can we learn from this, and what went wrong? Was it just fame? Was it the pressure of this sex tape? Was it the drinking? What was it ultimately that broke them up? Well, let's actually go back to the beginning, because Pam and Tommy's relationship was this whirlwind, fireworks. She was just describing how instantaneous their magnetism was to one another. And I want to talk about something that I've actually never discussed before, which is that each profile has its own bonding strategy. Now, Tommy is a first line and she is a sixth line. So let's start with Pam. A sixth line bonding strategy is soulmate or not. And the funny thing is that she was describing all of her relationships before Tommy, and every single time she was reading journal entries being like, he's the love of my life. This is it. He's the one, constantly looking for that thing outside of herself to fill that void. And I mean, she is a split definition. So the splits are constantly looking for a way to connect to other people. Now, Tommy is a first line, and the bonding strategy for the first line is pursuer pursued. And as a manifester, he did all the pursuing. The story goes that he saw her at a club and got her phone number and pursued her relentlessly. And she kept putting him off because she was so busy. And then he caught her one day as she was out the door going to Cancun, Mexico to do promotions for Baywatch. And he decided to hop on a plane and follow her there. And he went to every hotel on the main strip in Cancun looking for Pam. And when he finally found her, it was like they were just inseparable. They spent 3 days partying. Then they got married on the beach in their bathing suits. And then it all went from there. So she was somebody who was waiting for this knight in shining armor, this soulmate to show up. And then he came in hot and heavy, pursuing her. She's open emotional, completely open, as a matter of fact. He's defined emotionally, which is really hot and sexy and irresistible to the open solar plexus. Not to mention that he has this ego definition. So he's very willful. It was very attractive to her as an open ego person to have this will impacting her. Manifestors have impact, not to mention their companionship, not to mention their composite chart together. And ultimately what ended up happening is that as a rageaholic, which Tommy was, he pissed off the wrong construction worker at their house who stole a safe from their garage, which happened to have a lot of their tapes in it, and he spliced it together and he sold it on the dark web of the time. This was the first thing that really went viral on the internet, which I didn't really realize. And this was all happening. The sex tape getting out was all happening while Pamela was pregnant with their first son, and it drew out for a couple of years, and she was pregnant with their second son. And then finally, one day when she had a baby and a toddler, he grabbed her in an aggressive way, and that was it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. So it wasn't the sex tape, it wasn't the drinking, it wasn't the partying. She could manage all of that. It was this anger being directed towards her. And I think that that definitely speaks to the fact that she chose her kids. And she even says this, she chose her children over Tommy. And it broke her heart. She wasn't happy about this choice, but she felt like she had no choice, really, because with this channel of custodianship, it's always going to be about preserving life. And if she felt like her children were in danger in any way, she was going to cut that off. Now, I want to say that they were struggling before this. Obviously, the sex tape was no small thing, but they have the channel of struggle together. So that is just part of their relationship. Paparazzi was always camped out everywhere. She had a miscarriage at first. So there was a lot of other things that they had to overcome. And so, like I said, this seems like the thing that broke the camel's back. But the thing that really stuck out to me when I looked behind the curtain is the fact that Pamela Anderson, as a sixth line, was having her Saturn return in the midst of all of this. And we all know that the Saturn return can be a very tumultuous time of life, which this obviously was. But as you climb onto the roof, your values change. I myself have experienced this personally. The things that were important to you before no longer seem relevant. Partying and fame and all of these things stopped being important. It was just about this introspective time of life where she could be with the family that she always wanted to have, to take care of her children. And then she started this whole campaign with PETA to try and save seals, to try and get people to eat vegetarian, to promote the causes that were important to her. That was what her life became about. And she didn't mind being a punchline because it actually helped her out and got her in the rooms with a lot of important people who could actually help these causes. So she wasn't down with that whole party animal lifestyle anymore that Tommy was continuing to live. So we can try to blame the sex tape for why they fell apart. We can try to say it was because the playmate and the rock star were obviously not going to work. There was a lot of potential there for it to work. But the thing about being with the sixth line is that you have to be willing to grow with them. They are going to have a lot of transition in these 3-part life cycles. And as such, it's important to be flexible. And Tommy, as this third line underneath, was going to make a lot of mistakes anyway. So there's a lot that they had in common in that sense, because she could really understand that trial and error process. She didn't hold his mistakes against him. It was really only when she started fearing for the safety of their children that it became a non-negotiable. So that's really what I see when it comes to these two. And it's unfortunate because the ingredients were really there. And he seems to have calmed down now, later on in life. Maybe he's meditating more. Maybe he's taken some anger management classes. Who knows? I mean, anger is a necessary part of the manifestor process. It's just not meant to be directed towards anybody in particular, especially not your wife holding your newborn baby. That's a no. So I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did making it. I would love for you to ask me anything in the comments below. If you want to nominate another couple for me to do analysis for, I'm all ears. I have a list going. I have some ideas of who's coming next. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Until next time, ciao for now.